So now some of you may or may not be aware, the Toyota Corolla nameplate actually holds a very special, very significant place in my heart. It was the car that my parents owned when I was born. I remember when my father sold it on that day, when he handed the key over to the next owner, I was in tears. I was literally in tears. And I'm sure many of you watching this, you would have some story on how a Toyota Corolla at one point in time or another touched your lives. And it's no surprise. See, up to 2021, Toyota sold 50 million units of the Corolla and still counting in a history that lasted more than half a century. So that's a lot of heritage there, a lot of Corollas out there. And over that period of time, Toyota has built a reputation of sturdiness, of dependability around the Corolla nameplate. For many people, the Corolla actually stood for many things. It was the car which ferried their family around, sent their kids to school. It was the car they drove to work, built their business, and it was the car that carried their families, their friends, to outstation trips and whatnot. So for a lot of people, the Toyota Corolla was the ground on which they crafted, they created a lot of beautiful memories. And the Corolla didn't just serve mundane tasks. Along the way, it also built up quite an enthusiastic following. Those of you who watch Initial D definitely would know everything about the legendary AE86, for example. And in more recent years, the likes of the KE70 as well has emerged as very popular choice of drift cars. So the Corolla as a car, well, it's a very popular name, it's a good name, and it stood for many good things. Right next to me here, well, this is another Toyota Corolla, but a bit more special, all right? It's the pinnacle of the Corolla lineage, and we are of course talking about the GR Corolla, which, well, quite surprisingly, is officially on sale here in Malaysia. Now, from the outside, the Corolla looks pretty much like a beefed up regular Corolla hatchback. Now, the Corolla hatchback is not a very common sight in Malaysia, but it is a very popular model in Europe, in Japan. A few recon units of the regular Corolla hatchback have made its way to Malaysia, but here, this GR Corolla, this is officially brought in by UMW Toyota Motor. Now, under the hood right here is the same 1.6 liter 3-cylinder engine from the Yaris, but tuned significantly higher to produce 300 horsepower. Quite crazy, eh? It's like 100 horsepower per cylinder. And the best of all, it is backed up by a Toyota warranty. So we know Toyotas, we know their warranties, we know they make their cars reliable, but still, it is quite counterintuitive that there's a manufacturer crazy enough to make a 1.6 liter 3-cylinder engine push out 300 horsepower, give it a warranty, and it is even more crazy that the manufacturer that did it ultimately was Toyota, a brand that most of us know as one that always errs on the conservative side of things. So if you look at the frontal styling, the GR Corolla carries more than a passing resemblance with the Corolla sedan, which is unsurprising because it is, after all, based on the regular Corolla hatchback. But don't try to look too hard for any similarities with the Corolla Cross. You won't find it. The front bumper look, the overall front apron look, also has a very significant resemblance to the GR Yaris, which is unsurprising because of the common roots with the Gazoo Racing department. Now, right here, there is a very subtle GR badge here, and what I like about the way they styled the front is that they beefed it up. They beefed up the front width, but they have not gone overboard in terms of the flares and the gaping holes and whatnot. But still, you have this very expressive lines and angles here that really give the GR Corolla's front end a menacing look. And you see these vents here? They are not stick-on, they are functional. Look at that, okay? Underneath here, they are functional. There's an aerodynamic function whereby air goes in here and it is evacuated out through here. Okay, now the alloy wheels are of relatively simple design, but look at the brakes that they're hiding inside. Okay, so this car packs serious braking power, and you've got more air vents here, air fin here. All right. There's the GR4 stamping on the side skirt. And well, this part of it, I'm not a big fan, the way they tampal this cladding at the side here, but so the metal work follows that of the regular Corolla, and then they just put this additional plastic here to give the rear end a more beefed up look. So from the rear, I still consider the Corolla, the GR Corolla, to be a relatively handsome looking car. It is not as over the top as the Honda Civic FK8, but it is, well, also at the same time, if you stack this next to the Civic Type R FL5, the Civic FL5 is even more understated. This one occupies a nice middle ground in expressiveness between the FK8 and the FL5. Okay, and I like how these lines all interact with each other here. So there's a lot of character lines going on here that really give that surfacing effect all around of the car. Now, what I am not a fan on, however, is this triple exhaust design. I really don't get this, all right? I think they should have just had either one middle or two at the side, but three here, it's overkill. It's as if they put one exhaust pipe for each cylinder, right? To me, this is overkill, okay? But the overall look, the design, appearance of this car, I think it's a very handsome looking vehicle, all right? Now, let's pop this up. Okay, so the boot is not very big, but underneath here you can see they've got the battery mounted at the rear, just like they do in the GR Yaris. You've got this polystyrene tray here, okay? So naturally, because the battery is mounted here, right, the boot floor is forcibly raised, but they still left the sides here for you to, as pockets of space. And look at this, all right, the seats, as you would expect for a hatchback, they fold. Let me just access it from the passenger compartment. So you can drop these seats, okay, and because the floor is already raised, you get a flat loading floor, even though there's a little gap here, but you get a flat loading floor. Okay, now the interior, one glance look at this, it does not look like the interior of a 380,000 ringgit car. This looks like the interior of a 120,000, 130,000 Toyota Corolla. Okay, the door card, yes, you get the leather inserts here, but this is a Toyota Corolla door card. Nothing special, okay. But oh, look at this. Check this out. The roof is fiber, carbon fiber, and it is forged carbon. Okay, so it's not the usual weave carbon fiber, it is forged carbon. Look at the effect. Very, very nice. Okay, now let's come inside. I'm 170 centimeters tall, so I've got about 3 fingers of headroom above me. Sitting a bit upright, but still pretty comfortable here. Got decent leg room in front of me. Armrest with molded cup holders. Now here, where the Corolla sedan gives you rear air con vents, what you get here is that this tray, nice, just wide enough to drop your mobile phone, 12-volt socket, and also one USB-C port right here. Now, let's go to the front. So this dashboard architecture is pretty much the same what you would get in the regular Corolla, but with a couple of minor differentiation. You got the GR start-stop button, you get this GR badge on the steering wheel, of course, the manual transmission gear lever. You've got a manual parking brake, okay? The regular Corolla has electronic parking brake. This one is a manual parking brake. You've got the GR 4 all-wheel drive rotary knob here, which I will address later. Up here, this 2-DIN infotainment system, this obscured 2-DIN infotainment system where the unit just goes in like this. So it is designed to resemble a floating screen, but it's a 2-DIN system. Okay, aircon system here. Now, the front seats, the front sport seats with the GR headrest and microfiber material here. So you've got nice side supports. Here you've got 2 molded cup holders and you've got a wireless Qi charger here. Now let me just start the engine, all right? So the instrument cluster fires out with a GR badge, and you can trigger the drive mode here to sport, gives you a different look. Go back to normal, down to eco. Okay, and of course you can use these buttons here to change the screen. I can even adjust the 4-wheel drive screen. I'm going to go drive around with this one. And just to show you here also, this car has got intelligent cruise control with the distance adjustment. Okay, now there's this thing called IMT. What's IMT? IMT is intelligent manual transmission, which basically the car does the throttle blipping for you. So you don't have, if let's say you're not skilled at the art of heel and toe downshifting, that's all right. But that brings me another thing, right? So right now, my foot on the brakes, right? Look at the distance between the brake pedal and the accelerator pedal. I have to really move my feet at quite an angle in order to be able to reach the accelerator. So this function here may be more useful than even a skilled driver would imagine. So right here, okay, this allows you to toggle the all-wheel drive system. So you can either go front bias, which gives you a 60-40 front bias. You can go rear bias, right, 70%, or track mode. I'm not sure how much track mode, what's the ratio for track mode, but I'm going to just stick with 70-30 rear bias now. This is basically the same infotainment system as you would get in a regular Toyota model, but with GR wallpaper at the back. So you've got a reverse camera. Okay, clarity is all right lah, not high res, but it's all right. Okay, but nothing much to talk about this cabin. I think more exciting to take it out for a drive. You know, I honestly have got to hand it to Toyota, because common engineering wisdom is that when you string a small engine like this to 300 horsepower, normally they are pretty undrivable, right? They are either, because of the high boost levels, they can be laggy and they run out of breath at the top end, and also you have serious question marks on the reliability. But my God, this thing, right? If there's a severe weakness to this powertrain, I have not discovered it, right? I still remember a couple of years back when they first introduced the GR Yaris, same engine, tuned to 280 horsepower, but the way we pummeled it round and round, Sepang doing all the autocross and whatnot, the engine just took all that punishment. Because I spoke with the event organizers after that, they said the car needed nothing more than an oil change and it was good to go again, those demo cars. So it is really amazing how Toyota squeezed the living daylights, you know, in terms of horsepower per liter, and still arrive at a setup that is suitable for day-to-day driving, and thus far have not shown any reliability issues. This is crazy. It's fucking crazy. And it's so responsive. So responsive. The way it responds to throttle outputs is It's almost instantaneous. Now, I have no doubts that the Golf R, which I drove recently, is still ultimately a faster car. But what Toyota has achieved with this 1.6, oh God, love this car. At this point in time, there's still a lot I have not discovered about this car, but I will say this. The fact that Toyota made this car at all, to me, is a cause for celebration. It's a cause for celebration because Toyota for too many years have been seen as, you know, the car maker that is play too safe, right? Lacks imagination. But look at this 1.6, 300 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 6-speed manual. This car is destined to be a future classic. And what I love about this car is so usable, right? I can, well, not ideal, but I can conceivably use this car to send and pick up my kids from school. Based on my reading of the 4-wheel drive display here, I believe track mode is 50-50 front-rear distribution. Now, the other impressive aspect of this vehicle is the ride quality. Now, no doubt, this would have gotten beefed up suspension, right, to take the additional performance, but the compliance of the ride is still fantastic. Because bear in mind, I just departed the car wash at Chan Sao Lin, and you know, the way it handled the surfaces around the area, it's impressive. It is the suspension setup is well suited for day-to-day use. So right now I'm caught in traffic jam, all right, and it's fine. You know, the clutch weight is nice, the gear change is smooth, it's precise, so it is very easy for you to find the gear that you're looking for. And with the IMT function, the less skilled amongst us, we don't even need to worry about not being very good in our throttle blipping or heel and toe downshifting. But as I always said, you know, you get your throttle blipping and heel and toe downshifting right, it is a satisfying skill to master. So what I can tell you is that the all-wheel drive system, the GR4 all-wheel drive system, allows you to vary the torque distribution from one end 60% front bias to another end 70% rear bias, and in between 50-50, okay, up to your choice depending on your flavor of the week. It's just insane how quickly this car responds to commands to accelerate. I would never expect such a highly boosted engine to respond with this kind of immediacy. So the interesting contrast between this and the Volkswagen Golf R that I drove recently, the Golf R is still the faster, the more capable car, the easier car to extract maximum performance out of. But with this, with the GR Corolla, you get, well, the satisfaction of rowing your way through a manual transmission. You still get a manual handbrake. You have, well, there is that sense of rawness to this car that the Golf R does not have. The Golf R sometimes, for all its all-round devastating capability, it can feel too polished of a car, right? So, and for some people, that kind of drains the excitement out of it a little. The GR Corolla here gives you a bit more rawness. It gives you a bit more involvement. In a way, it's like, it is a bit closer towards the Megane RS in terms of the spectrum, but you get the additional safety net. You have all-wheel drive that gives you better traction in the wet. You have independent rear suspension. That means the back end is more settled when you decide to do anything stupid and your skills are not quite there yet to catch, when things go wrong. See, the thing with torsion beam rear end cars is that, okay, it is entirely possible to tune a torsion beam suspension to behave or even exceed the handling prowess of a multi-link rear suspension. But the thing with torsion beam is that because of the additional rear unsprung weight, all right, there is that greater tendency for the rear end of a torsion beam car to swing a little in the way that an independently sprung rear does not. So the biggest thing to me about Toyota's TNGA platform is that with the rear double wishbone suspension, when you throw this thing around bends, you really can feel the car really sitting on at the rear. And that is why with the regular Corolla, with the regular Camry, the CHR, the normal models, all right, the competence of the chassis exposes the age and the limitations of the engines that come with those cars. But here in the GR Corolla, my God, you have the kind of performance that fully unleashes the potential of this chassis, right? So in the hot hatch world, right, if you were to ask me any recommendation in the hot hatch world, I believe the best all-rounder, bar none, is still the Volkswagen Golf R. But the Corolla, the GR Corolla here exists, right? Its place in the market, in the ecosystem, is that it gives you just that bit more rawness compared to the Golf R, a bit more involvement to the Golf R, but you still have the same kind of safety net, the all-wheel drive traction, right? That gives you the added sense of security when you decide to go a little bonkers when you drive. And what I like about it also is that, it may be a GR, but it has not forgotten some of the essence of the Corolla nameplate, which is, it is still, in relative terms, a car that's easy to live with, a car that you can count on a day-to-day basis. And however you put it, it's still a Toyota. It's backed by a factory warranty from UMW Toyota Motor. So this really is performance that you can enjoy without any of the headache. How wonderful is that?